It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Only sometimes for certain villains. Yo, this video here, y'all don't realize this video really has been a long time coming. And I've told people in recent weeks that I was going to drop it. Should have came out probably a week or two ago, but or more. But just schedule and whole bunch of things, being tired and whatnot, it has not. But today we here, we in help, we going in. And just FYI, this video will be the first of 4 different videos. You see, it's the arts villains. I will also do the arts heroes, the arts anti-heroes, and the arts anti-villains in that exact order. And in this video I will give the 10 criteria of a villain. Now obviously not all villains will fill out all these criteria. This will determine how good, great, or legendary a villain is. Okay, I'll get into that in a second. Now, there are certain characters, for example, anti-heroes, anti-villains, or even antagonists that, while they have certain traits that may be villainous, does not make them a villain. And as I go through each point, I will explain in more detail as to what each point makes, and I'll give an example of a character that fills that certain trait. Now, for example, if an antagonist does not fill a villainous trait, it would be Uchiha Madara, who is commonly misconstrued to be a villain, especially by the Naruto fanbase, because they're thriving for a good, amazing, strong villain. Unfortunately, he is not a villain. You have Uchiha Obito. You have Obito as a villain, who is a trash villain, by the way. Madara is not a villain, he's an antagonist. And I explained the reasons. Although he has some villainous attributes, you could say, to his character, he is not a villain. And all you have to do is just go look up on my channel, Madara is an antagonist, not a villain. That's the name of the video. Go check that out. And I believe I gave 5 reasons. It was either 4. It's been a couple weeks, so either 4 or 5 reasons I gave as to why Madara is not a villain. Now, without further ado, here are the 10 reasons. We're starting off with number 1. The first reason: a villain has a unique background and possibly detailed backstory. I will repeat, has a unique background and possibly detailed backstory. The example that I give is Don Quixote do Flamingo. Now, this will be a full spoiler-free video as best as I can. Don Quixote do Flamingo. If you've read the manga, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, in anime, we have not gotten to the point where Doflamingo's backstory really is. But let me tell you, we don't even in the manga know the full extent of his history. Okay, this dude, I mean, it's like, yo, this dude's connected with everybody. He's connected with the government through birth and otherwise. That's all I'll give. Through the pirate world, you see, even in the anime, the underground brokers. He runs that thing. He's a puppeteer for real. No wonder he has the Ito no Mi, the string fruit. It might be a little smaller, but whatever. People been guessing with strings. Anyways, he puppeteers everything. He's the puppet master. He has everything running on Dressrosa and otherwise. I mean, this dude's ridiculous, and his backstory, it's crazy. When you get to it and when you read it, just read it, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Every great legendary villain will have a phenomenal backstory. It will be deep, it will be complex, and at times it's funny how it is. Because I'll give this for a different one, but to show just beyond Doflamingo, an example of a backstory that isn't presented first. Now his is sort of kind of, because we haven't really seen Doflamingo throughout the series, okay? I mean, we've seen him, but only on glimpses. We haven't really met Doflamingo. We haven't interacted too much with Doflamingo until Punk Hazard, or the end of the Punk Hazard arc, and until this Dressrosa arc, okay? The Joker, for example, he had a backstory, his whether it be cosmetic or acid accident. But as the years went by, his backstory got dropped more than that. So that's just an example. But even the simple backstory he got, it wasn't the most complicated. What I say, a unique and possibly detail. I say and possibly, but his was a pretty unique backstory with the way he was. And the same thing with Doflamingo's backstory. Good lord, that's why I put him in the spot. I mean, he fills other roles, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. One of the best ever. And another one who feels, you'll see in the second example, he feels fills our number one excellently too. Pretty much perfectly as well. Number 2, menacing aura and an immediate threat when he enters the story. Now that's where a lot of people will go on Madara and say he is. He does present that, but again, he's not a villain. This example that I gave of a menacing aura goes not further than none other. And for those who don't know about Doflamingo, he's a One Piece character. This is a Hunter x Hunter character. As soon as I said it, you should know exactly who I'm talking about, especially if you're watching the anime or you read the manga. We're talking about Meriam the King, the Chimera Ant King. Meriam, or just the King. The King. Meriam. And he fits a lot of these as well. But yo, his backstory, I mean, you could go on that. But as soon as, and I have to his backstory kind of goes along with this second point. Because with Meriam, it was a build up, the whole thing with the queen, right? She comes onto into the NGL, she feasts, she has the kids, the squadron leaders, then eventually the royal guard, all this build up. And we're anticipating for in the anime a good at least 10, 12 episodes, 15, I forget how long it was. But then when the king was born, good Lord Almighty, that dude was a villain. Straight up, already one of my favorite villains. Already, as soon as he enters, and then in the second episode when he goes out, okay, already top 5 character in Hunter x Hunter. This dude, seriously, he comes out, no games, just murking fools. He doesn't care. He gives off, I mean, his look, he's got this sinister look, things about him. I mean, it helps that he doggone one of the most memorable villains, not necessarily one of the greatest, but one of the most memorable, Perfect Cell. He reminds you of that. So in of itself, you already know, I mean, this dude's power, he's been hyped up, but we also know about the Royal Guard. So there's this power level. And then doggone when he smacks P2, it's like, yeah. Like, the Royal Guard kowtow to this dude. They fear this dude at times. I mean, come on. That orb that, and then it even says, like, this dark presence. Like, yo, come on. Craziness. We move on to number 3. You love to hate him or her, or more specifically, his actions. And in that specific example, I'm giving Cruella de Vil. Now, 101 Dalmatians, especially if you watch the movie, Cruella de Vil, and it wasn't until recent, like really the last year or so, that it occurred to me, devil, because I hadn't seen the name when I was a kid. But Cruella de Vil. Now, how can you not remember Roger's song? That song was fire, and it gave you the truth. But as soon as she entered, and she actually embodies number 2 as well too. She's a villain, like, in the later TV show, she was made more of an anti-villain kind of thing. But anyways, Cruella de Vil, oh my goodness, that character in her car, like, yo, everything about, like, yo, you can't help but hate, like, come on, you love to hate her. You couldn't help but hate her. You really couldn't help, and that's all you really need to say. Cruella de Vil. That name brings up images, okay, of a female villain. That's a female villain for sure. And I mean, now we have one, definitely one of my favorite villains, but probably one of my favorite female villains. Probably, definitely in the top 5. I don't know what she'll drink. I know Kirin Ragyo. Now she definitely is my favorite female villain of all time. Definitely. I can't think of that many female villains, but that's another time for another day. Anyways, number 4, complex characterization and complex development. And in this one, I gave to none other than who? The Joker. Joker. Yo, do I need to really explain? To talk about this character's psychology. Like, the fact is, without the Joker, yeah, Batman isn't who he is. And without Batman and the Joker isn't who he is. They balance each other out. See, the Joker stops Batman from going too far in his quest of justice. You know, leave that up to the specter, the spirit of vengeance, to go, you know, take care of business. I'm not saying they have any usual ties, but I'm just saying, you know, you feel me? Leave it up to a Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, you know, to take care of that kind of business. But the Joker would also go into insanity if not for the Batman, if not for Batman. So that there's that. I mean, you look at his character, he's a clown. I mean, everything about him, you know, because a lot of kids fear clowns, or they just don't like clowns when they're younger. I was one of them. No, now it's different, but I was one, I couldn't stand them. It's complex reasons. Anyways, not the most complex, but it's complex reasons. The whole psychology behind it. But his dark psychology, he embodies a psychopath. Now, a lot of people get psychopaths confused and twisted and misconstrued. Psychopaths are not the same as sociopaths. Sociopaths just don't give a damn. They don't care about society. They do what they want, period, point blank. And they'll usually be serial killers and mass murderers. Now, psychopaths, on the other hand, they are said to make up, and this is a stat I actually buy, they're said to make up 4% of the population, at least in this nation, the States, right? America, with the K, get it right. But anyways, not only that, I don't even know how many percent of positions that they actually invest, because nobody really wants to go this far. But a lot of leaders, whether in governments, whether in medical field, well, in a lot of these positions of power are actually psychopaths. And you can see from the way that they act. Now, I don't buy this whole non-conscience. Okay, they don't have a conscience. What I'm saying is they turn it off. And psychopaths are highly intelligent. I mean, extremely intelligent. You look at the Joker, The Dark Knight. And this is what I say, man. The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger. You will not get a better Joker than that. He was the perfect Joker. He embodied the Joker perfectly. It doesn't get better. You want to see the Joker? Watch The Dark Knight. My top 5 favorite movie, okay? Number 5 on my list. And I made a video about that anyway. My top 5 favorite movies and why. Okay? The Joker. Really, just look throughout his history. Look through, I mean, along with Batman. See, Batman, a lot of people don't get, and this is the side note. Batman, a lot of people say, oh, he's not a superhero, he's not. Batman is one of the most feared people in the DC universe, period, bar none. He's more feared than Superman, for example. He goes and clashes head to head with some of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. Likewise, the Joker, while he doesn't do what Batman, the Joker has fought so many different people. This dude's durability is off the rip. This dude's intelligence. He's the fact that he doesn't have as much, you know, holding him back. For example, even Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, different characters in Batman who have very dark psychologies. They have way more limitations than the Joker. Joker doesn't have, I don't say he has zero limitations. He has limitations because of his intelligence. If not for that, he does what he wants. And, you know, in a way, it's like he said in The Dark Knight, this city, Gotham, needs a higher class of villain, needs, you know, higher grade of villain. And he fills the role beautifully. I mean, I could go all day on just the Joker. He is the greatest villain of all time. One of the greatest anti-villains. I mean, he's simply legendary. You know, enough said about that. Number 5. Person, this villain, either is immoral, evil, or acts immorally. And I broke that down. I'll break that down before I give the embodiment of pure evil in a villain. You know, there's a few, but this one definitely. Immoral. You know, it could go so many ways. It really could. You know, most people know what immoral acts, and if they don't know what immoral acts are, we have a problem. Theft, murder, you know, kidnapping, molestation, rape, homosexuality. I'm not going to go into that any further, but that's just a few examples. And to what really is morality, because a lot of people get it twisted. Basically, as simple as this. Morality is a couple things. It is respect for the natural rights of mankind and the natural order of things, as well as morality sets the limits on freedom, because freedom allows you to do whatever you want. Now, in nature has its own sets of laws and rules that it follows, okay, its own order of things. Society does well, but I'm not going to get into that. But what I'm saying is morality sets things, and it doesn't go against nature. It doesn't go against, you know, the freedom, the equality of being human. It doesn't deny that. So take those things into consideration. Now, evil, getting into the nature of evil, I may do that whole discussion. That may actually be a series. I don't know. I may do that discussion at some point. That'd probably be a long video in of itself. And then talking about, or acts immorally. Acts immorally, this is dicey, but it needs to be taken into consideration, because sometimes with villains or with characters in general, it's hard to tell. We don't know their thoughts on morality. For example, he's not a villain, but Monkey D. Luffy. And I had made a video a while back about, is Luffy a new type of character? Because he's not a hero. He's not an anti-hero. He's neither. So he's like somewhere in the middle. His morality is so vague, man. He's a pirate, like Luffy. That's one of the reasons I love Luffy. Although I'm strong about morality myself. As looking at someone's psychology, as low, philosophy and psychology, is one who looks at these things, and from a literary perspective, I love the character of Luffy. I absolutely love him. Amongst other reasons as to why I love him. But this example that I gave was Kid Buu. Kid Buu is pure evil. It is hands that look. A lot of people talk about Buu, Majin Buu, the good Buu. And they talk about Super Buu. Look at him, man. Get all that fugazi, get all that tripping out the way. Good Buu, or Majin Buu, the original Buu, he was a baby kind of thing. He was this kind of impish but he was controlled. Babidi was his voice of reason. Now he kind of went off and did his thing when he did what he felt like doing. When he was, Bobby was dead and he killed Babidi. That was his loss of reason. But eventually, the whole thing, he was taught, he found humanity, with Mr. Satan, the kid, the puppy, and all that jazz, and he expelled the evil, even though the evil took over and somehow became more powerful. I still don't buy that, but whatever. Super Buu was a teenager, okay? Super Buu, he had his reservation, because remember, he wanted to fight, and he allowed Gotenk's, time. He allowed Goten and Trunks time. Piccolo was allowed to reason with him. Now, he was probably about middle adolescence. That's what I gauge it. But Kid Buu was pure evil. He was a child, okay? He didn't care. He did what he wanted, and he going to destroy. He was the embodiment of chaos and destruction. Not anarchy, chaos and destruction. He didn't care. He destroyed. He did what he wanted. I mean, I love Kid Buu. As a villain, he's one of my top 5 favorite characters in Dragon Ball, such as Dragon Ball Z, even GT. Okay, DBGT, Dragon Ball GT. I love Kid Buu, because you rarely get an embodiment of pure evil. See, he didn't need to be more than pure evil. That's the thing. With all the Buus, and if you take into consideration all the Buus combined, we had enough. He was just evil. And I don't think you had, even in the series of Dragon Ball, you hadn't seen just simply evil. Even Demon King Piccolo, who was a villain, he was evil. Kid Buu, there was no redemption. See, with a lot of these other characters, they might have been killed or whatever. You look at Frieza. Frieza was definitely evil. He was a villain for sure. But you look at doggone Kid Buu. What redemption was it? Where was the mindful? There was no reasoning with that. It was simply, he was simply evil. And dealt with the nature of evil. Like, the fact is, the threat level, everything, and he makes to a great to legendary villain himself in the short time that he lived. That just goes to show you, man. That just goes to show you. He embodied so much. Now, to point number 6. The villain presents a serious challenge to a hero or protagonist. And that one I presented with Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach. Another one from from the series One Piece. Now, Blackbeard is rough, man. Blackbeard is rough because he's a villain. We know he's a villain. He's very manipulative. He's very cunning. But he's like Luffy in so many ways. Like, he's about the freedom. He's about, he ain't like Doflamingo, with the pirate stuff. But he's a pirate. I mean, Blackbeard's definitely a pirate. He's these things. But the thing about Blackbeard, he clearly pushes Luffy to the next. He just gets under people's skin, he's going to be a challenge ever since he entered the scene. I mean, from the moment he enters the scene, there was the pie eating contest, and then there was the whole thing. Even though he made the speech about dreams, we're like, all right, this dude's kind of cool. But then there's the whole thing about Blackbeard and Portuguese Fire Fist Portuguese Diaz, Luffy's brother, Monkey D. Luffy's brother, right? Straw Hat, Monkey D. Luffy's brother. And then it's like, yo, this dude, he killed a crewmate, a Nakama. And Luffy, that's one of his number one things. You don't, betray. You don't cross your friends. You don't, refuse, that is like sacred. Then there's that. Then there's the fact that Blackbeard captures Ace and turns him over to the world government to be executed. And on top of that, Blackbeard becomes a Shichibukai, one of the 7 royal warlords of the sea. Okay, a pirate that is given a pass or pardon by the government, kind of like a privateer back in the golden age of pirates in the Caribbean, right? And then not only that, Blackbeard breaks into Impo Down, and you see, oh man, Luffy and Blackbeard, you look at the eyes, Luffy, straight hate. Now, times have changed, and I'll get to that. But, I mean, there's that face-off. And then Blackbeard comes in there, he comes in Marineford, and he kills Whitebeard. The reason he went, the whole thing about Ace and Shichibukai was his position so he could get into Impo Down and get level 6 prisoners, okay? And then he goes to Marineford and kills him and his crew. The Blackbeard pirates kill Whitebeard, Edward, Newgate. And in turn, Blackbeard becomes a Yonko, one of the 4 emperors of the New World, and of himself. I mean, Blackbeard, man. And so we know Luffy, this is going to be one of his final antagonists. I mean, come on, the history. Now, when I say it changed, you got Akainu, who actually kills Ace. So, Akainu, there's more hate towards Akainu. Akainu also represents way more ideological differences than Blackbeard does. Because that's what I say, Blackbeard as a villain is quite interesting in himself. We'll probably see more of his villainous nature later on. Anyways, when he did also turn over jewelry bonding to Akainu as well. So, yeah, there was that. Number 7. Causes a change in his main opponent's physical and or physically and or mentally. Sorry, sometimes brother ain't reading right. And numbers, that one, Scar. Easily gotta be a top 10 villain. You have to at least put him top 20 villain. Easily top 20, if not top 10. Now, I don't know where you rank him, but Scar from Lion King. Good night, man. This dude, this dude attempts to kill. I mean, first of all, he kills Mufasa. And he scares Simba into the wilderness out, and pretty much Simba would have died. The hyenas chased him. I mean, Scar, what can you say? Another great legendary villain. Scar, this dude impacted Simba in so many ways. I mean, he leads him, and through his thing, it changes his mentality. Because remember, Simba was a cocky kid, but then lost his father. And not only that, he's left to die. And then he meets Timon and Pumbaa. And the whole Hakuna Matata, it means no worries. And that whole philosophy, and he grew up as a teenager or whatever. You can say teenager or whatever. And into adulthood with Timon and Pumbaa. And then there was a whole meeting of Nala, and then hearing it back, and then coming as a hero. But then even the final battle, oh my goodness, the final battle with Scar and Simba was the stuff of legend. So he just forces and he molds Simba into a greater character, and you gotta indeed like, if not love, Simba because of Scar. If not for Scar, I mean, Simba is completely different. And we also see Scar's ideology and Scar's, mentality and, his alliances in the dark side. And then we see the whole change in the lighting. And, oh, yeah, the lighting. Oh, God, don't even get me started on the lighting. I can spend a good 6, 7, 10 minutes on just the lighting alone with Scar. But anyways, number 8. He/she is simply badass. And look, badass. How do I describe badass? This is another whole video discussion, possibly. Anyways, but badass simply is this: the person, and I mean, you can come up with a lot of characters. Some characters who people think are badass are not. Uchiha Sasuke happens to be one of them. He has badassery at times, but he has he has badass actions at times, but he's not a badass. For example, when he rushes and blitzes into the crashes the Kage Summit, badass, but he's not a badass. That's just what it is. Roronoa Zoro is a badass. A lot of villains are badasses too. I could go just throwing out one of them. Even Doflamingo, Don Quixote, Doflamingo, Mariam, badass, both badasses. But a badass, just the presence, just the whole thoughts about strength, their whole demeanor, their power, everything resides about them. And it's not like they overlook you necessarily, and they're not stupid either. They just, the way they come in, it's them. They do them, Even Luffy, you can clarify as a badass. He just a lot of times is more carefree, but it tends to be this more serious. But even though Flamingo is not serious, it gets, with each character gets a bit different. But when they come in there and take names. Period. Point blank. You just don't. That's what it is. There ain't no denying who they are. They come in there, you know who they are. The whole, I talked about the aura. And in this example, I said Sauron. Now, Sauron is the Lord of Mordor from The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, that whole thing. This dude, throughout the whole, at least at that point, we didn't even meet Sauron. Seriously, think about it like that. He had his eye watching Frodo in the Lord of the Rings. He had, the riders and whatnot. I think Sauron was mentioned in The Hobbit. I don't think he had direct, if I remember correctly, he didn't have direct influence on the plot too much. I know there was a necromancer. And I know Gandalf, he was the Grey at the time, eventually he became Gandalf the White. But Gandalf talked about they ran off the necromancer or Sauron got killed. I forget how it went down with Sauron. But anyways, Sauron, look, you know what character is badass when he doesn't even personally enter into the story. Like, his own character doesn't enter into the story. And you got the threat of fear. The whole story. When they entered the land of Mordor, especially when, if Frodo put on that ring, like, going until Mount Doom, because it was so short distance from the capital of Mordor, from Sauron's stronghold. I mean, come on, man. You can't tell me you're not feeling that reading it. Now, I haven't watched the movie, so I cannot perfectly comment. Well, I haven't watched them fully. Let me just put it in. That may eventually come. But just read, if you read The Lord of the Rings, you know exactly what I'm talking about with Sauron. Simply badass. His presence alone. Like the name Sauron. The name, that's even bringing up images. It's like, whoa. You feel me? That's badass. When just your name, you feel me? And it's not like people make it up. Like, this person will screw you over. This person can kill you in a heartbeat. You know what this person is about. If that person comes into the scene, you're like, oh. Like, that's why people in Netero, if you watch Hunter x Hunter, once again, in 2011 anime, when he entered the scene, him and Zeno came down. Like, come on, man. Come on. But, I can say kill with Zodiac, but let me just stop. But, number 9, he/she, has individual standout traits. Now, that's kind of vague, but when I give my example, you'll get what I'm talking about. Number 9, Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom, this dude here, once again, definitely top 20, if not top 10 villain of all time. Doctor Doom, this dude, he has been all over the Marvel universe. You know, he's like different, but sort of in the grand scheme of things, on the same kind of the counterpart of the Joker. Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom, or Victor Doom, Victor Von Doom. I mean, it depends if you talk about his skin, it is the iron, or if he just dons the iron mask and makes a skin and armor and then melts it. I forget. There's multiple versions of how Doom, why he wears the armor. But I mean, his magical powers. I mean, he owns his own nation. Like, this dude should be taken out, but this dude stays alive and he keeps doing what he does. Like, yo, his abilities, his knowledge, he's highly intelligent. He's a sorcerer, sort of, but he's also a scientist. I mean, his armor, his appearance in the green cloak. I mean, just the thing about him. Like, yo, like, what the mess. And then, like, he fights everybody. He fights the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. Who else does he fight? Probably fought the Incredible Hulk. Hey, yo, this dude's crazy. Just Doctor Doom, and more than what I can say, because it's been a while since I've actually watched or read things about Doom, so a lot of my knowledge has been lost. But the thing, man, Doom definitely is a standout character, from his appearance to the way he just interacts with the Marvel universe. I mean, his unique position. He owns his own nation, and Latveria, it's allowed to do some shady stuff. So, like, there's so much about it. He's a mastermind. There's so much about Doom. And 10, definitely not least, there is a high probability to complete his goal. And that's the thing about any great to legendary villain. You actually have to have a threat. This person has a high probability, or probably will, or has done, has completed a goal or a few. And this example I gave is Lex Luthor. Once again, top 20, easily top 10 in my view. Top 10. Lex Luthor, up there, probably top 5. I can't say 2, 3, 4, because I'd have to think of a whole slew of villains. I mean, Mariam the King deserves to be top 25 easily, if not top 20, top 10. Most of these people up here deserve possible top 20 honors. You understand what I'm saying? But anyways, like, Sauron, top 50. I believe, top 50. But anyways, when you come to consideration of Lex Luthor, this dude's always scheming, and this dude becomes president at one point. This dude, he's a stain on Superman, because Superman can never outwit this cat. This cat has these schemes for days. He's intelligent, and then he comes as a scientist. He's always doing junk, and then he always comes back with a better plan. It's like, yo, Lex Luthor, you do too much. You too good. You too good of a villain. Like, you love to hit him, but at one point it's like, yo, Lex Luthor, hey, let me just not go in. You know about Lex Luthor. If you don't know about Lex Luthor, come on, man. Come on. You just have to know. Even if you're not a fan of DC, you need to know Lex Luthor. But the unexpected one, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me some of your favorite villains, and I hope this video was able to highlight the things about a villain. And one last point that I would like to make. When I was doing this, I thought about it. When I first was doing this months back or whatever it was, I was like, yo, a good villain. Now here's the thing: an absolute trash villain, this is why I say old Beetle's a trash villain, will have 1 or 2 of these things. Okay, that's what a trash villain. A bad villain will have about what? Oh no. A trash villain will have 0 to 2 of these. Well, you can't even really be a villain if you have 0, but 1 to 2. A bad villain, about 3. It gets dicey, it depends. A good villain will probably 4 to 7. Bad could be 3 to 4. It depends on how it's executed on the forefront. But good, 4 to 7. Great, what? Wait a second. Good, 4 to 6. No. Good, 4 to 7. Great, 8 to 9. And legendary 9 to 10. I know it's a crossover, but here's the thing. It depends on how different points are handled. Good can be, I should say 4 to 6. 7 to 8 is great. Legendary is 9 to 10. There we go. Proper thing. Get that all wrapped up. So once again, tell me y'all favorite villains, and till next time, y'all. Peace.